Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, your host and chief monkey, and this is the Wall Street Oasis podcast. Join me as I talk to some of the community's most successful and inspirational members to gain valuable insight into different career paths and life in general. Let's get to it. Wow, 200 episodes. This is crazy. I never thought we'd actually get to this number. Well, maybe I did, but it's still a crazy number. And it's been a really exciting journey with all of you, my listeners. So thank you so much for being with me through all of these. I really hope that you found the stories inspirational from all of our guests who have given us their time graciously to help all of us learn a little bit more about not just the traditional, but the non-traditional paths of how to have a successful career in finance. So I hope you'll join me in thanking all of them for taking the time to come on the show. As far as this episode, we're having another fun chat with the WSO Finance Research intern team. Listen to some of my old career advice that I've given probably 1,000 times and how to do coffee chats the right way, how to do them the wrong way. Again, if you're interested in applying to this internship, you can find a link in the show notes. Hope you enjoy. So hello, everybody. This is week number 3 of the Finance Internship Weekly Calls. Happy to have everyone back on here. Looks like Joju's coming on. We got Lucas, how you doing? Shahir, Liam, Jessica, George, Aditomi, Aditya, hey Vyomesh, everybody. Still got a few more people coming in here. But yeah, wanted to just start by first off saying thank you for all the hard work in this past week since we last spoke, for those of you that were with us last week. Second, just to say, open this up to any of the new interns that have questions around the internship itself or anything career related. We're happy to be here as a resource. Over the past week, we did put up some new stuff in the intern group. We pinned it to the top of the group. One is an example of what you could include on your CV or your resume for this internship to help kind of guide you in terms of making it look as good as possible for finance careers. So really trying to drop in a lot of keywords, show what you've researched, show what you've written about, so that when it's when the internship is all said and done, you actually have something super valuable on your CV to help build it up and look more finance oriented. So that's the first thing. So look for that. It's called WSO Internship CV Example. It's a Google Drive up at the top of the checklist. The other thing that Nabil put together over the past week is a networking Google Sheet where we encourage you, if you haven't already, put your information there and start reaching out to people and connecting and try to get on weekly chats and get into that habit of building connections. So with that said, Nabil, what am I forgetting? Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
I'm happy to open up the floor to anybody who has questions. You can just unmute yourself. It doesn't look like we have too big of a group where it's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
So if you want to unmute yourself or ask any questions, happy to answer, whether it's specific career-oriented questions that you're kind of going through, networking, recruiting, anything like that. Fire away. Nothing?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, Liam. Yep.
All right. Yeah, I just had a few questions. So I have 3 coffee chats coming up next week, all for 2023 summer analyst roles. And I've been struggling in them, but I haven't really been able to make the next step in any of those I've in the past. So I don't know, how did you go about doing it? And how would you say I go about 3 I have next week?
You mean in terms of coffee chats, converting them to interviews?
Yeah, basically.
So I think it's the most important thing is that you are likable, right? So going into these coffee chats, you should treat them as interviews, but you should be taking the lead from the person that has a coffee chat with you. So if they show up in jeans and are very just off the cuff, whatever, you don't want to be overly formal in a suit and very much trying to show off. You're what discounted cash flow is and trying to drop financial theory, right? So having some of that sense of how to calibrate your tone, how serious, how non-serious you are. You always want to be a little bit more serious than the person you're with. You don't want to be like super casual and laid back, but trying to make yourself likable in the sense of like finding, not just talking about work, really just developing a relationship with that person, I think can help. It does help if you know about their firm and you ask smart questions, so not just generic questions. So what type of questions are you asking these people? Do they open it up, and do you have a set of questions that you typically ask?
Yeah. Well, typically I'll just begin with like an introduction to myself, and then I'll kind of ask them about like their background in like finance and investment banking, like out of undergrad, and like where they went to undergrad and stuff like that. And then typically,
But are you asking them for these coffee chats?
Wait, what do you mean?
So like you're saying these are coffee chats that you've scheduled with these people?
Yeah, like I just like did like the LinkedIn networking, and then I messaged them.
And so you met some people and they're meeting with you. So like, yeah, you should know all that basic stuff, right? So you do intros and you're like, hey, I'm Liam, I go to blah, blah, blah. They probably, yeah, sorry.
They're all virtual. So sorry, I approached.
Oh, they're virtual.
Yeah, none of these are in person. I know how to use the term coffee chat, but
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So you're doing like a virtual chat, and so I think being very like much more specific and targeted showing that you've done your research in a subtle way is really good. So that means not just like asking the generic questions of like, oh, tell me about your investment banking background. How'd you get into finance? Like that's really, it just seems like you're going through, like if I'm on the other line of that, if I'm on the other end and I've taken time out of my busy analyst schedule and I have a kid from college being like, all right, yeah, so how'd you get into finance? Do you like investment banking? What's the culture like at your firm? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm going to be thinking is get me off this call.
All right.
Yeah. Right? I'm going to be thinking get me off this call as quickly as possible. And then now hear the difference of like, oh, hey, Liam, pretend like you're the banker. Hey, Liam, I saw that you work in the XYZ group over at blah, blah, blah. I heard this and this. I just wasn't sure, like, I know you guys closed this recent deal on this. Did you work on that?
Okay. Yes, dude.
Oh no, I didn't. It was a friend of mine. Would be like, oh, cool. Like, what types of deals have you done? I'd be curious to hear more. Like, the types of deals you guys doing? Are you doing more, buy side mandates, sell side? So notice like there's a couple things that I've done in that question, in that series of questions. I've shown I know what buy side, sell side means. So I have like some knowledge. I'm talking the lingo. I've shown that I've done research on them prior to the call. So like I'm not wasting their time, right? That's just in that's just in that one little sentence right there.
Yeah.
Versus the difference of like, what's the culture like at XYZ firm? What's the like super generic?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so even though, you're putting in work to get the calls, that's not good enough. Like you have to be prepared for the calls and actually show that you've done the homework on them, homework on the firm. So like you can use WSO, like search for specific things, be like, I read this, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. Ask, you don't want to be asking them like weird questions, like esoteric questions, be like, where do you think the Fed's fund rate is going? Like, okay. Like you don't want to ask them that to try and like sound smart. But you want to just show like, about what what their day-to-day already is. They don't have to go explain that. You should be like beyond that based on what's out there already. Like you should be asking more specific kind of nuanced questions of like, hey, so you work in DCM, like, so does that mean like the types of deal you're doing all like what types of clients are typical for you guys? Are you doing more in this industry, that industry? What have you seen? And then be like, and then in terms of like the deal, the team structures within the group is it usually staffed with like an analyst? So like now you're trying to find information about specifically the firm, how they're staffing their deals, the number of analysts, number of associates, VPs. You're not like asking some generic overarching culture question of the whole firm, which like is totally, And I don't know if you're doing that. It was just, to me, if like I'm on the other line of that, I'm just like, oh gosh, like this person's like reading off of a script, right?
Yeah. I've definitely not doing that. So that is something I'm definitely going to do in the future. I appreciate.
Just show you're doing your homework. And then, if I think you've been with us for a while, so if you can get through the financial modeling training, like some of the courses that you got for free through us,
yeah,
just like knowing that, it doesn't mean you're dropping it, but just having that knowledge is helpful. If you are struggling converting the coffee chats to interviews, I strongly recommend going through our networking course.
Yeah, Bill just helped me get that earlier this week.
Yeah, so look through that, because there's actually specific examples of like good questions to ask, like examples of like versus like shitty questions. And there is a difference. It's not like there's no bad questions here. Like that might be true if like, you're a freshman or like a high school senior and like you're just learning. But like if you're trying to land an internship, like you should know all the interview questions. You should be strong on your technicals in case they start asking you questions like, so what do you know? Like, have you done financial modeling before? You should be like, yeah, absolutely. I've done a lot of self-study. I've done several hundred hours of self-study on financial modeling. And so like, all right, tell me what the main valuation things. And you should be like, boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
And so like, they're just like, okay. This guy knows something. So it's like doing your homework and being ready for that is going to be, it's going to make the difference between like, they're not going to put why on a coffee chat, why would they put their neck out for you if you're asking generic, like if you don't seem like you're super sharp, because there's like thousands of other kids slamming, like banging down the wall, trying to get in.
100%.
But it's good news that you're getting the coffee chats. People don't even do that first step. So that's good. Yeah. I don't know, but you have 3 next week, you said?
Yeah, 3 next week, 3 different banks. So.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity. Have you spoken to anybody else at those banks already?
Yeah, I spoke to an analyst it's like a small boutique bank. I spoke to him on what is today, Wednesday night, and it went pretty well. So, but like it didn't really go anywhere. Like we got along, but it didn't go anywhere. But I'm hoping that because I'm speaking to an associate next week, so hopefully.
Perfect. So you should definitely mention that you recently talked with and you heard great things.
Okay. Yeah.
Blah blah blah. So like just reference showing that like you're doing the legwork. It just shows them that like you're not. They're not the first person you talk to, and you actually are trying. Yeah. What else? So remind me, you're coming from a non-target, right?
Yeah, I go to like a small non-target school in New York City, though, so I guess it's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Have you seen the podcast with Grace at Fordham?
I actually have Fordham. I go to Manhattan College, so it's like 15 minutes away from Fordham.
So the podcast called Monkey to Millions is a podcast I host where I mentor kids, college kids. And one of my mentees, her name is Grace. She started freshman year in college. She's at Fordham. A lot of the same advice I gave her would apply to you because you're so close to New York in terms of like, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that things have opened up, I would try to meet in person if you can get into the city.
Okay. I'll definitely watch that podcast. I have heard.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on the WSO. It's on the WSO YouTube, or whatever. I would look at that because especially the networking ones, because she put in a ton of legwork, and I give her a lot of advice around how to like frame things and stuff.
Definitely.
What else is going on? I think George. I think you were on here last week too. Thanks for coming back. And then somebody that just has a name A. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that's me.
Hi.
It's Abud.
Hi, Abud. How are you?
I'm good.
Where in the world are you?
Dubai right now.
Dubai, nice.
I guess some question. I'm kind of lost on the internship.
Sure, shoot.
Where
to start?
Yes.
Yeah. So at the top of the group, there's a how to start video. It goes through all the steps of like grabbing your first topic to write about.
Yes. I watched the video and I read the guidelines. So basically what I understand that we should like pick a topic from our interest regarding the finance and we should write about, right?
Correct.
My problem is like, for example, I'm going to write the topic, then that the next step of how to submit it and who submit it is, I'm kind of like, I feel it like complicated or I didn't understand like.
Sure. Yeah, so you just have to change the status on the drop down on that sheet.
Waiting for review, like, yeah.
Waiting for a review. So after you've checked off all the checks, once you've confirmed it has all the things that are required, you go over to the sheet, you say waiting for review once you've written it.
And then where I should submit the report that I write?
Well, it's already, the Google Doc is already there. You should be working in the Google Doc that's next to the term.
But when I talked to Nabil, he said that I can write on Microsoft Word and then submit it.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. If you use Word, just upload it to Google and then share it, get the link, and then paste it down there, like on the place where the Google link is. Just paste the link there, so we can access it.
So I'm gonna change like the Word document into Google Drive and then share.
Yeah, you can just drag and drop it to your Google Drive and then like share it.
Sure.
And Google does the conversion and everything. Yeah. I mean, that's if you want to use Word. Yeah.
Do I need some kind of approval for any topic that I suggest, or I just start writing out?
Oh, you just start writing. Like, just pick anything that you want to write on and then start writing. Yeah.
And then that first time you submit, you'll get feedback. We have somebody checking through it, and then Nabil goes through it, and some of our other chief editors go through it to make sure, in terms of like not just language but finance knowledge. We have different types of editors that are coming through it, and will help kind of guide you. And we expect the first one or two to have the most comments. It's always the hardest when you're first starting. So yeah.
And regarding writing, do I need like regarding in a way that is academic? So I need to put in-text citation references, a certain type of references, something. It does not mention in the guidelines.
Citations, not really. Like, if you say this is the source, like if you quoted someone verbatim, like just link to the site and say, hey, as per this place or like this research, like this is what they've said. But like, you're not writing like to academic. I mean,
yeah, it's not an academic audience. It's web traffic. So you should be writing for those people. It doesn't have to be overly formal. You're really trying to teach them. Most of the people searching for these terms are like, it's intent based. They're trying to figure out like, what does this mean? What's the definition of this? So teach it based on that. So that's why examples are great. That's why,
having like starting from like the basics, like not just jumping into like the complicated stuff. That's important too, just to make sure that everyone understands. Yeah.
Well, now I understand it.
Yeah.
Good questions.
There's something on chat too.
Yeah, question. George said networking course saved me this morning. Good, George. Happy to hear. What happened? You want to tell a story? Jessica asked, it will be mentioned at the end of the article that it was written by us. The question is, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to have credit there, I don't have a problem mentioning you or linking to your LinkedIn or putting you in there. That's fine if you'd like that. Typically, we'll put something on each of the articles, like an edit from the editorial board. They'll come through and we'll mark it as reviewed by that person. But we can absolutely put your name if you'd like that credit. Hope that answers your question, Jessica. George, you there?
Yeah.
How did it save you?
Yeah. So basically, I was having like super low conversion rates on my response, like back on LinkedIn. I think I was writing too long of messages. So basically, I just went through the networking course, and like even though like you said, like you don't want it to be like you're just reading off a list of questions. Like I feel like they're worded pretty well where they don't seem like, even if you ask them the very specific question, like it doesn't seem like it's been like rehearsed. Yeah. And also we talked about connecting through like the basketball common interest. And over the past week, I actually had, or even this morning, I had 3 back-to-back calls of all people who've been basketball at like top banks. So it was pretty good advice. Same nice. With the guy that you reached out to, or he reached out to you to connect with me. He's in like a pretty similar position to where I am as last year. So yeah, it was interesting to talk to him as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So George was on this call last week. Was it last week, George, or 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, George was on this call explaining his struggles going through this. And then we put this episode up on our YouTube, and somebody reached out saying, hey, I'll help that George kid. So pretty cool, because the WSO can act in surprising ways to help to help you all network. So, don't be shy about your struggles and trying to break in. Yeah, Lucas, go ahead. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
First of all, yeah, I have a question about the topic I will write on. Is it something I can choose on my own, or is it a design topic?
Yeah. So initially you're going to go in and you're going to select the topic. You're going to select the topic you want. So it's not assigned. We want people to be able to select the topics that interest them most. So if you're super interested in economics, you can go do mostly economic terms. If you're only looking for a job evaluation or investment banking, you can focus on terms and definitions that are more investment banking focused. If you're more focused on like trading or sales and trading or something like that, you can go do more trading focused stuff like options and puts and spreads and all that stuff and collars. And so like we wanted to let the interns kind of decide what interests them most, because we don't know. Like it's hard for us to know, like, hey, Lucas really is.
The choice of the topic at first will be free, so to speak.
What's that? The first what?
So the choice of
it's free. Yeah, it's a free choice.
The topic is free at first.
Yeah, it's free. It's free through the whole internship. You're choosing what you want, as long as it's not, as long as somebody hasn't chosen that topic. Like if you're supposed to put your name on it if you select it, if you want it, as you go. You shouldn't be selecting a bunch of them and blocking people from taking them, but we haven't had that problem yet. But if you could go in and you say, hey, I really want to write about this, I think this is interesting, then you could go ahead, put your full name in there. And then that way people know not to go in and start it.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, I'd suggest to watch the how to start video. It's a good way to kind of, even if you watch it at 2 times speed, it's a good way to kind of get the feel of how to do this and how to do the research. And then Jessica asking, is it possible for this internship to be paid? Jessica, it can convert to paid at the end of the unpaid portion. If we had 240 interns, we'd be bankrupt in about a week, but we hope that the value that we're providing enough value for you guys. You ask, where are the free courses offered to you? You can claim those. You can email ivy@wallstreetoasis.com. For every 25 hours you put into the internship, we're going to be granting you a free course from any course in our library. So that means specifically you'll get up to 7 courses as you get through the internship. So it's basically almost our entire suite. If you're looking at like financial modeling training and stuff. But I think that's in the guidelines as well, Nabil.
Oh yeah, it is.
I'm going to
pin the link to the courses on the chat, on Slack.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So we'll pin the different options and the courses you can choose at the top of the group as you start kind of earning them. And then definitely take a look at the CV example of how you can leverage it. Definitely look at the how to start video if you guys are struggling. Just then that first week is always the hardest. That first term is always the hardest to get going in terms of understanding how to start. But yeah, if there's any questions, I'm here, Nabil's here. We're happy to answer. Yeah, Shahir, go ahead.
Hi, hey Patrick, and
Hi,
hey
nice to
Nabil.
meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I have like 2 questions to begin with. So let me put my hand down first off. Yep. So the first one is obviously I want to know whether or not this financial research analyst or the SEO content writing internship will be around by the summer, because I'm actually planning to start in the next 2 months, probably when I get my summer vacations. And the second follow-up questions would be related to this and the reason why I want to start in the summer. So that's the first question.
Absolutely, it will be here this summer. We expect a huge surge to start in June after everyone finishes their finals.
That's awesome.
Yes, it will be here. Again, we started work on this about 8 or 9 months ago, like getting this whole program set up. We started really scaling it in the last several months, which is why the group has kind of exploded in size. But in terms of the actual internship, yeah, it's going to be around. So you should set whatever start date you think is going to be best for you. And there's no, we have a minimum number of hours to be put in per week, but there's no maximum. So if you want to, let's say, do another internship, if you're really a go-getter and you want to get through this internship much faster and get the free courses and the free boot camp and all that, then you can go ahead and do a normal 40-hour week. Do what is it, four 40-hour weeks? You can get it done in a month, right? It's 160, yeah. Or less than four 45-hour weeks gets you right there. So like you could treat it like a real job when you're out of school and be done pretty fast and claim a lot of the rewards. So does that answer your question, Shahir?
Yeah, totally answers my question. Now, also the follow-up question was about, okay, so I want to start in the summer because right now I'm working 2 jobs plus doing my university. I'm 18 right now.
A lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if I'm trying to, put it together in the schedule, it's just going to mess up my mental health. So, and I'm actually glad, like this is one of the things I'm very glad about because once I joined, I actually emailed Nabil and I told him I'll be starting next week. And 1 week later, I did not start and he emails me just to check up like, what's good. So I was like, yo, can I shift it further? And he's like, yeah, sure. Just let me know when you're comfortable. And I was wondering that you guys would, kick me out from the group, but no, you guys did not. And I'm still networking with you. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no worries. We're open to it. I mean, you guys are helping us. We're helping you. It's a symbiotic relationship. We designed this so it would actually help them, but we also are cognizant of the fact that you're in school. A lot of you guys are doing part-time jobs and it's a lot of work. It's a big commitment, right? It's not like a 2-hour a week thing.
Exactly.
It's a big commitment.
What I wanted to know from you, from your experience, what would you advise me as an 18-year-old? So I'm doing a fund accountant internship at BNP Paribas right now. And it's like a 8-hour internship. So it goes like 9 to 5, 9 to 4. And I'm doing another job, which is online. So that's part-time. So that's all right. But the BNP Paribas internship as a fund accountant, it is 9 to 5 and then plus school. So these are the 3 tasks which I'm doing. So do you think, this is the question, do you think this jobs and part-time thing, which is giving me the experience of the finance industry, but kind of dragging me a little down on the academic side of things. Do you think it's worth it or not?
What is the specific job?
One job in the BNP Paribas is fund accountant. So we account for all the trades which these hedge funds and investment funds do.
That's great. Great resume builder. But what about the other one? You said there's another.
The other one is a managing editor job. This is like a managing editor job, but it's more like entertainment news reporting than finance. So, 2 different sides of the coin totally.
Does it pay? Does that one pay?
Yeah, that one pay, but of course not better than BNP.
Yeah. And your academics, how much is it hurting your academics?
Well, last semester it was 4.6 GPA out of collective 5. And this semester it's 4.2, but I can see in the near future it's going even further down.
Yeah, I think focus on school.
Okay.
Focus on school because GPA matters, unfortunately, for just landing interviews. It just makes your job harder if your grades get too low, right, Nabil? No, just kidding. Nabil's a master networker, so he has no problems. He walks into everything. You can make it no matter what your grades are. I just think there's a lot of screening that goes on, and there's a lot of proxies. And so for people to go to bat for you as you become 19, 20 years old and you start kind of doing more that you network more aggressively, do all this stuff, I think it's helpful to have a high GPA just not so people don't blink an eye.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough because how many hours is that managing editor job per week?
Per day, it's like 3 hours.
It's 3 hours plus you're doing the 9 to 5 on the thing, and then you're trying to do a full course load.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
Right.
unless you miss sleep, like to get marks up, like yeah,
That's insane, man. You got to drop. I would drop the managing editor role because it's not in finance. Assuming you want to be in finance long run, keep the BNP. I mean, even BNP plus school is dangerous.
Yeah, I see, because I recently missed out on one of my tests and the professor is like, no, I can't let you write the test. You got to go to the dean and get the permission and all that shit.
Yeah. You're stretching yourself too thin.
All right, I'll definitely think about it. But yeah, thank you so much for the advice.
Yeah, I mean, at least, I don't know where you're going to be applying, but I know they do care about grades, whether you're going to, London,
Right.
Dubai, New York, wherever it is, they do care. So be careful that doesn't dip too low. I'd keep it over a 4 if you can.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Oh, we have questions.
Here we go. A few other questions. Christian, good afternoon. Just joined. I have 2 questions. How can we access the free training classes in parallel to the articles? So we answered that. It's ivy@wallstreetoasis.com. How do the perks work at the end of the internship? How do you guys making sure to make referrals and stuff right after the internship termination? Thanks. Good question, Christian. So all you got to do is email me, Nabil, or Ivy at the end of the internship, and you just request through LinkedIn what referrals you want from me. And typically I get that done within 24 to 48 hours, just to knock it off of my list. In terms of how to claim the courses, as every 25 hours as you go, you can just request them, request whatever course you want from Ivy, ivy@wallstreetoasis.com, and she'll get, she'll check to make sure you have that requisite hours, and then give you access right away and then let you know. Hopefully that answers your question. You asked also, how much is this internship relevant for a 4th year student? So I don't think what year you are really matters. I think what matters is if you're targeting finance oriented roles. I think that's probably the most thing. I mean, if you're a 4th year student, I assume it's a 4-year university. If you don't have a job lined up, it's another resume builder, another way to kind of open more doors and make your resume stronger. You're an economics major, so, you know, an econ major, not finance. So yeah, so it helps get some more finance buzzwords on your resume. If you write about, you know, discounted cash flow valuation, those types of terms. What are you targeting, Christian? Are you targeting investment banking or?
Hi, yeah. Hi, how are you doing? So I'm basically trying to get into more the buy side equity. So I definitely like the idea of starting off like a equity analyst, trying to move my way into portfolio management, perhaps.
Okay, then you should be doing, if you're looking for more like, it sounds like buy side hedge fund type places, like
perhaps a traditional asset manager would do.
asset manager.
Yeah,
okay.
but I'm doing also like in parallel the CFA, the level
Perfect.
1. Meanwhile, I do this, just like a resume booster and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was about to say CFA would be a big boost to you, but yeah, I think it's relevant, but I would focus on the terms that are going to help you the most. So doing stuff around asset management, those types of terms, and trade in markets. If you're an economics degree, we don't have the finance much, you might want to lean a little bit more on the finance side as well. But like it could be modeling oriented, you know, it could show, you know, valuation, you're going to need all that stuff.
Right. So all of these concepts, basically I choose, and I saw you have a Google Doc spreadsheet. So there I choose what topic I want.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
And there's different sections. So there's like, there's some that are like accounting. There's some that are more finance oriented. There's some that are more valuation. There's some, what else, Nabil? What else am I missing?
Economics. Yeah, there's quite a few.
We can pull it up. But so, yeah, I mean,
trading and all that, yeah.
In terms of how, I mean, what do you target? You're right out of school, or what's the deal in terms of your next step? I don't know where in the world.
Yeah, so
in
my particular case, I have still 1 more year because
Okay.
I'm doing a 6-month master's in management.
Right.
But my degree of econ, I received it in May 2023.
And what school and where?
University of British Columbia in UBC in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it gives me a little bit better idea. So really between ideally between the master, you could do this, but you're landing some sort of job in like an asset manager between now and before you graduate from the master's, or some sort of internship. Do you have any other internships?
Yeah, I'm actually joining some intercollegiate like funds during the summer to get more experience on portfolio management this specific summer, and this will go also from like January to April of next year. So that's also a lot of training.
That's great.
On modeling and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you're on the right path.
Okay, so I have not yet like done I know there's a specific there is I think you need to fill out in order to confirm your position as an analyst. I think a Google form. I
Yep.
still need to do that. So is there a specific deadline until which we need to complete it by?
No, you just won't. You just the cycle won't start, and we won't know what date you want until you fill that out. And if you do confirm it and put a date out like further, that's fine. It's just a way for us to keep track of like when everyone's starting, just to make sure we're following up with you guys.
Oh, okay, amazing. Well,
Yeah.
perfect.
So if you want to wait a month because it's super busy right now, we suspect June is going to be a surge of people starting because they'll be finishing
Yeah, I
some of their
imagine.
classes.
Yeah, as I told you, like, yeah, I'm planning to start perhaps half like May 15, something like that.
Perfect.
So I'll let you know, and yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
started.
you're welcome to just stay in the group and join the weekly chats. We don't mind.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for joining. Here we go. Lucas asks, on the job description, mentioned that the top 20% of interns will get a chance to be offered a paid internship. I would like to know how performance is going to be measured throughout the internship. Thanks. Lucas, great question. So performance is measured by several factors. Number one is just dedication. Like, are you actually putting in the hours? First off, do you have good, is the output really good? So meaning are editors having to go in and ask you to put the things that are in the checklist over and over again? Or are you getting better? So showing growth really helps get you into the top 20%. So if you're following the directions, your writing is really good, and you're consistently putting in the hours, that's usually enough to get you into the top 20%. Because there's a decent number of people who like start and it's tough to put in the consistent hours and stuff like that. So yeah, and there's some people that will start and they just can't, either their writing isn't good enough, their English isn't good enough, or it's a struggle. And there are other opportunities with us to do other stuff and still continue to get credits and stuff like that. But that you'll hear about that if we're running into that issue kind of later in the internship, once you've kind of done a few articles or tried for a few articles. I hope that's helpful. But usually it's pretty obvious, like who's gung-ho and into it. I think there was another hand raised, A or B. B on the screen, A on the name. Jessica asked, how many articles we have to write per week? You want to handle that one, Nabil?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? Like 2 hours every day. So like comes to like 1 to 2 articles every week, 1.5 articles. But like that's like, I think later, because the first 1 or 2 articles are going to take time, because you're going to probably research, go to and fro, and like get a feel for the style. But then once you get a hang of it, like, it'll be like 1 or 2 articles easily every week. If you put in like 15 hours, if you put in more, like, of course, that's going to be much higher. So yeah, I think that answers that. Yep.
Thank you. And there's no like penalty if the first one takes you longer and you're like you have lots of questions around it. Like, that's fine. We know it's a little bit odd to write for a web audience. It's a little bit different. It's not an academic paper. There's SEO considerations in terms of like what headers to use, how to organize it, how to structure it. It takes time sometimes to put examples together and stuff like that. Yeah, no worries, Jessica. It's a good question. I don't know if this is an old hand raise. Yeah, A, you want to speak?
Yeah. I just hear something interesting that you talk about, that if someone that have something busy to deal with, if he can finish the internship faster. Because I'm a master student in my last semester, and I think on April I need to work out on my dissertation. So I think, is it possible to finish the internship before April, like in 1 month? Even if I need to pressurize myself, I don't care.
That's tough. 1 month is tight. It depends what else is on your plate, right? Because to finish the whole thing in 1 month would mean like you're working like a full time, like over 40 hours a week, 45-ish a week.
Yeah, it's possible. Like, you just have to put in like a lot of work.
So how many articles per week, for example, as in on average?
More like hours, right? Like, what's that? 180 divided by 4. So 45-ish. Yeah. Oh wait, what?
He's asking how many articles would that be like per week?
Good question.
Well, if you assume like say 3 to 4.
5. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it's going to be slow, but like it gets
maybe with five to six articles a week, and then probably scale up a little bit as you get faster.
Yeah, it depends on words too. So that's one reason why we don't look at like articles output, because someone could just pick out like really thin content and say, oh, I put in like so many articles out. That doesn't really give a good feel of like, you've actually put out content or whatever. So
But
yeah,
those are 2,000 words per article, right?
Yeah, but then we do look like, for example, a few of them have messaged. So imagine you pick like a really narrow topic like interest rate tax shield or whatever, like interest tax shield. It doesn't have a lot of words online elsewhere. There's not a lot you could write about it apparently. So the highest was like less than 1,000 in the top 3 results. So I was like, okay, if you wanna go with a lesser amount, it's fine. But I'll go in and see if there's an angle you didn't cover, and then I'll tell you. But yeah, that's generally what we look at. So if no one's writing like 2,000, there's no point of like repeating yourself to get to that.
It's the 2,000 is a good guideline because people tend to go way too short. The point is, if all the top results in Google are like 800 words, 600 words, 1,000 words, it doesn't mean you need to write 2,000 words. It means you could write 1,200 words or 1,000 words and be up near the top. So it's more quality and making sure that the structure of the site's well organized, the writing is clear, stuff like that.
Okay, I understand. Now, for my second question is for you, Mr. Patrick. I want your advice regarding aviation. So my bachelor is aerospace engineering, and my master is engineering business management. And my target is the finance aspect of the aviation industry. So, what do you recommend for me based on your experience? What do you recommend me for topics that I need to search about in that field?
Aviation industry, probably more like heavy, like industrial type stuff. So anything on like the industrial side, I don't know. It's a tough question. I don't know much about aviation.
What role in finance? Like, are you planning to enter the industry?
Yes.
Like corporate finance, like doing FP&A type stuff for them?
Exactly. Corporate finance, yeah. For example, what's the finance aspect that I need to look for if, for example, I worked on private jet companies or like an aerospace defense company like GE and
corporate
finance.
If
you want to handle the finance stuff, like you probably need to know all the nuances of the industry, right? Like how does because there are lots of things that are specific to aerospace, right? Like airplanes and stuff where you're leasing, you should know everything about leases and how the market operates. No one buys airplanes. You need to know how they calculate stuff like depreciation. It's way different from like other industries.
Heavy CapEx, depreciation, amortization, knowing all that stuff, leasing. That's a good point, Nabil. Yeah.
Yeah. So like how the industry works. I would probably focus on like just understanding like
accounting.
How exactly accounting. Yeah. Because I worked as auditor for some of the local ones. So yeah, that gives you a good feel like what's different. And then like once you get into modeling and stuff, like looking at, I don't think you'll do a lot of modeling when you're in FP&A. You'll probably do treasury and those kinds of things like accounting and managing cash and all of that stuff. Making sure you don't run out of capital, because that's an issue. So yeah, you'll probably need to look at like all the various things that go into play there. Yeah, like which is different from like any other industry, because aerospace is very, very unique when you go to model for it and look at it from an outsider point of view.
So do you think that talking about aviation depreciation assets is going to be a good topic to talk about?
Oh yeah, it'll be for sure. Like
I don't know if we have aviation specific topics in the sheet, so you should look for stuff that's like anything around capital expenditures, anything around depreciation, amortization, and leasing. I would start with those.
Oh, okay. So I need to pick a topic that it's already in the sheet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, leasing should be like amortization, depreciation, all of that should be. Yeah. You probably focus more on accounting topics because that you can just look up like
that knowledge base.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and like understand like what's going on in aerospace and try to incorporate that stuff in, and how the rest of the industry accounts for that specific thing. Yeah, that's how I'd go about it.
Okay, thanks.
Harbin asked, when's the schedule for these meetings? It's Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern every week. So I think, Nabil, we should start sending out an email to everybody.
Yeah, we could.
I think we're getting a decent group, but I think people just don't realize when it's hitting or they're sleeping.
Yeah.
It's probably 3 a.m. for some
Yeah,
of them,
for a lot
and
of people.
midnight for others, but at least give them a shot to join.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll do that. Yeah.
No worries, Harvey. Anything else? I think Adetomi, were you here last week? Muted. It's okay.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. No questions from me.
Okay, great. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. If there's anything else, I think we'll call it now, but if there's anything else that comes up, always feel free to reach out to us directly. And I think that's it. Nabil, anything else to close?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered
Some good
most of the
questions.
stuff. Oh, is it 180 for the?
It's 180 hours for the full internship. It's 175.
Yeah.
Oh wait, here we go. Lucas had a question. I have a question on the 7 courses we will be granted at the end of the program. Okay, first off, Lucas, you earn the courses as you go through the program. So we don't force you to go through the whole thing and get courses. So after you finish 25 hours, you can get a free course. Another 25, another free course. So that's what gets you to the 7. If I choose the premium package, which features a lot of the courses in it, does it count like a single course? No, it counts as 6 courses. There's 6 courses in that elite modeling package. Yeah, so that's the answer. Packages include multiple individual courses. So it's 7 total courses. So you could get the elite package and like the accounting foundations, or the elite package plus the PowerPoint. Or if you're more focused on like interviews, you could get the investment banking interview course or package. You could do that with the elite modeling package. That's a good bundle because that'll get you prepped for like networking and teaching you the fundamentals. If you're just starting out in uni, I would highly recommend the investment banking interview course because it's good for all finance interviews. It's just titled investment banking, but if you're doing any corporate finance, anything like that, it's going to teach you networking. It's going to teach you behavioral interview questions. It's going to teach you technical interview questions. I would recommend that paired with like the elite modeling package, which has the 6 other courses as you go through. Shahir asks, is there some sort of certificate that is granted to? Yes, there's certificates that are granted as you go through the course. You have to answer a certain percentage of the quiz questions correctly. I believe it's 70% as you're going through, and you have to complete I think 90% of the lessons in the course in order to be granted the certificate. A is asking, could Nabil explain how he put the Google Drive link in the sheet? So if you're writing in Word, that was for somebody writing in Word, right, Nabil?
Yeah.
So you could just upload it to a Google Drive?
Yeah. So you should have a Google account first. And then you just upload it, like drag and drop from your, I'm assuming if you use Windows, like I'm not very sure about Macs, but yeah, in Windows, you just take the file, the Word file, and just drag and drop it to your Google Drive. That uploads the file, and then you click on share on the top.
Yeah, share.
I'll send you a screenshot. Corner. Yeah. And then you just select that, mark it as it's accessible by everyone who has a link. You can be an editor, and then like just take that link and paste it on.
Yeah, then copy the link and then just paste it in the Google Doc
sheet. Yeah, and the Google Sheet. Yeah.
Or easier, just write in the Google Sheet that's already there. So you don't have to go through all that, unless writing in Word is that much easier. But we already have there's already a Google Sheet next to each term already pre-populated and ready for all of you. So it has a checklist in there too to remind you all the things to make sure that are included. So
I would probably start by downloading that, like instead of like creating something from scratch, because there's this checklist, there's all of that stuff in there, rather than like having to manually put everything and then forgetting about it. It's just easier. So yeah, just download it from Google into Word and then upload it again, and there you go.
All right, everybody. Anything else? Thanks for joining, everybody. And if there's any other questions as you kind of are getting started, definitely reach out to us. We'll do this again next Friday. So you're welcome to join again, ask questions. And yeah, thanks again to everyone, and talk soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye,
everybody.
Have a good week.
Night.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, Patrick@wallstreetoasis.com. Until next time.